which is a holistic communication course. And our tagline for the Awesome Adventure series is, why teach your kids English when you can send them on an adventure and let them learn? So the main aims for the session, by the end of the session, you'll have a better understanding of the structure of the AAS courses. You'll be familiar with the supporting materials that come along with it. You'll have gone over 5 key skill areas for teaching young learners with Awesome Adventure series, and hopefully be more well prepared to deliver successful lessons with AAS, the Awesome Adventure series. So quickly, I just want to look at the levels. We now have 4 levels. Level 2, 3, and 4 are complete. Level 1 is coming out little by little this year. The first book over here is being printed now, and the comic reader that goes along with that will be ready in mid-April about. And the rest of the series books will be coming out little by little throughout the year. And in terms of level 1 is something that we're designing for students who have just started English, so we're trying to keep it relatively simple. That being said, it is probably more challenging than the average course that's made for students who are brand new to English, because it does have full stories in it, and songs that are fairly full songs. They're not just chants that teach basic patterns, language patterns. But it is something that we've designed to be achievable at this level. Moving up to the other end of the spectrum, level 4, we've graded this at about A1, so a mid A1 level. So ideally, you'd think about students who are starting to be able to talk together, and they have some degree of confidence in their communication ability. They don't need to be fluent or anything like that, but generally speaking, they're not. I wouldn't consider them to be a real beginner. You know, they're a beginner who's starting to kind of lift off. Each level has 4 mini textbooks and 4 graded readers, and these go together as a set. So textbook 1 goes with graded reader 1, and the album goes along with the entire course. Levels 2, 3, and 4 have a music album that go along with them. Level 1, we're only releasing the music digitally, so you'll be able to find that in the textbooks and also on Spotify or different channels as well. Quick look at the sequence. So each mini textbook with the reader set is 3 units. So with the 4 books, that gives you 12 units, and that covers a year. We do this in about 4 lessons per unit, and we do lessons that are about 45 minutes to an hour. Some schools use it over an hour and a half. There's quite a lot of content, so if you are doing it in just an hour per lesson, yeah, there's a lot of material to get through, so you can definitely expand it into longer lessons as well. I wouldn't go less than 40 minutes. That might be a bit of a struggle. So the first unit of each cycle starts with vocabulary, goes into a song, and this is not just a chant that's driven by language practice. It's a song that relates to the story of the course. So it's something that has a lot to sink your teeth into. Then there's a speaking activity. Next unit, we go into vocabulary again. Then we use the reader and we do a story. After that, again, there's a speaking activity. Finally, the last unit is where there's more output. We go into, again, vocabulary, speaking, and then another speaking activity. And these are going to be the more challenging speaking activities in the course. Okay, I do want to take a quick look at one book and just kind of zip through the components that are in it. Seems like there's an ambulance going by in the neighborhood now. Okay. Okay, just a second. Expand my frame a little here. All right, so let's go to the beginning. So this is the third book in the level 2 series. So in the side cover, there's a couple of things to point out here. There's a QR code that will have the main theme song that goes along with the course. And there's also audio for the vocabulary. If you want your students to do some extra vocabulary practice with that at home, they can. There are the course objectives and also an explanation of how the course works. And this is also in Japanese, so parents can kind of understand the thinking behind the course. Now, every unit has these self-assessment aims. For each aim, the students can, at the end of the unit, they can rate themselves. We've got 2 different scores here. I means I can do it independently, and H means I can do it with help. So basically, the students are evaluating themselves, so they don't feel that they're being judged or they're being told they've succeeded or failed. They themselves can kind of evaluate that. And a good thing about that is it helps them to become more aware of their progress. It sort of develops their metacognitive skills, their ability to learn. And and it gives a little bit of a record to the parents of what they're doing. Now, the aims are all stated as kind of communicative aims, so it's not, I can use the present simple, but it'll be phrased about with respect to what they can do or what they've been doing in the course. We have a paragraph of notes for the parents again, so they'll understand what the students are doing and how the course is supposed to work. Next page there is our vocabulary page. Then we have a comic lyric sheet for the song, the main song. And after that, here's a speaking activity. Some of the speaking activities are hard to understand unless you've looked at the lesson plans. So this song here has to do with food waste. In the song, these characters are throwing away different vegetables because they're not perfect. They've got different things, like they're flat on one side or they're bumpy or something like that. So the students are learning language related to the features of different vegetables. And in this activity, this can be used a few ways. Students are essentially sorting vegetables by different features. So they might choose a couple of different categories, whether it's soft or flat or round, something like that. If it's always green, sometimes green, and then sort vegetable cutouts into these different categories. This top thing here with the 3 baskets works as kind of like a Venn diagram. So we might give it category A, category B, and then A and B, so the students can sort them into there. Next is the story unit. So again, we start off with our self-assessment, which is done at the end, not at the beginning of the unit, vocabulary, and then we go into the story, which is a full comic graded reader. Here is what we call a story summary, and this is an activity that can be used for comprehension work, and it can also be used as a productive scaffold, so the students can use this to then talk about the story as a sort of support for production. In this one, in the story, they go through this kingdom, so the students can kind of follow it along on the map, and then there's different questions about what happens at the different points in the story, which are mapped out here. After that, we go into a speaking activity, and then this lets them practice some of the language that they've used in the story and might have seen previously in the course as well. In this one, there's a lot of language related to the different buildings and structures that are in the kingdom. So here we have a kind of guess who game where one student picks a picture and describes it, and the other person has to guess which one it is. So it's got a lot of, again, markets and schools, town, monster, different things that are in the story. Next, once again, self-assessment, vocabulary, and notes. And then we move on to the more meaty speaking activity. And this one again, gets the children to reflect on food wastage. Food waste, I guess is the correct way to say it. So they start here and they have a certain amount of a particular type of vegetable. And then as they go through this, food is lost either because it's the temperature's too cold, some of it falls off the truck, it's been dropped, it's been thrown away from during quality check because it doesn't have the perfect shape or color. And then when we get to the end, ideally the students should have some food left, but actually the game's kind of rigged so that the students lose most of their food. It's very hard to get very much to the end, to the final part of the game. So, I mean, in the course, obviously we want the students to use English and to speak English, but we always do have some kind of content point or things to get the kids to reflect on. Obviously, they're not going to have a very if they're lower level learners, they're not going to have a very sophisticated conversation about food wastage. But this does get them to reflect on it, and you can get some very basic talk about the topic. I think as teachers, we're not doing our full job if we're not really getting kids to think about world issues or different things other than just what's going on in the classroom. Final activity there. This is one that puts the students into the story. This time they have to collect different sets of vegetables to make different recipes to feed this monster. In the story, the monster, they feed it, and it explodes, and this is one of the ways that they escape this kingdom. So this game allows the kids to kind of have fun with that scenario. Finally, lyrics to the songs, some study tips, and these are things that will help parents to encourage their children and perhaps get some practice with their children at home. And these are incredibly useful for kind of counseling. If you have parents that are worried about how their students are progressing or whatever, you can always point them out these tips and get them to try the games and stuff like that at home. And then finally, we've got at the end of each book, we've got a space for teachers' comments. So when they finish that book, the teacher can give them some encouraging comments or some, a progress report and hand that back to the students, and they can show the parents. And here are some of the cutouts that go with the games. These are the different vegetable cutouts and labels. Okay. Okay, so one more important thing that I want to just go through quickly in terms of the components that you might not know about. So online, if you go to our site, aaspress.com, you'll find lesson plans, flashcards, visual aids to help support the tasks, guided discovery worksheets, sometimes posters. For the phonics courses, we've got full posters for different chants and letter sounds. We've got classroom slides that you can use on a projector if you've got a larger class and you want to use the materials in that way. Also, there are extra game components. Some of these are essential to some of the games that are in the books. So you'd find those all online. And I'll show you really quickly where you can find those. And okay, so if you go to aaspress.com, you'll come up on this page and then just click on downloadables here. Download it, right? And then here you'll find all the different courses. So if you're looking at level 2, you can just click on download here. And you'll find the 4 different books in the series and a downloadable file for each unit. And in each one, you'll find anything that's relevant to that particular unit. So just download it, open it up, and you can print off whatever it is that you want. Okay. And of course, if you want some extra vocabulary practice and you want to go with a blended learning solution, you can use the Gamerized Dictionary very well with the Awesome Adventure series. All of the vocabulary and supporting languages in the Gamerized Dictionary, so you can get your students to study that before they come to class and save time and get into the good stuff much more quickly. Okay, now I'm just going to set up the last part before the recording started. So we're going to take a look at teaching skill number 1, and this is to create an environment that's conducive to learning. And this is something that's very much dependent on what the teacher does. It doesn't just happen by chance. It is very much under your control as a teacher. And And I think that this is one of the most important skills because everything else you do will be affected by that environment or that classroom culture that you create. All of the other skills that we go through will all be much easier, and all of the activities will work much more smoothly if you've created that environment where the students are doing the kinds of things that you want them to. So really quickly, I'm going to get you guys into breakout rooms and just to discuss this question. So what do you think is an ideal young learner classroom? What does it look like? What do students do in these classrooms? So we'll get you guys to talk for a couple minutes and then we'll come back and look at your answers. All right, let's see what we came up with here. All right, so let's have a few ideas there. So Dora, give me one.
So what we talked about is basically to get them speaking, and young learners should be able to ask questions about.
Okay, that's interesting. So speak, communicate, ask questions. Yep. All right. Give me one. Let's see. Sorry. Pippa. Oh, I think you're muted. There you go.
About playing songs.
Okay. And what do they do with songs?
Sometimes they listen, sometimes they sing along, or.
Okay, that's nice. So sometimes listening, not always singing. Okay. How about you, Deborah? Sorry.
No, either way is fine. Actions to songs. Students should be able to laugh.
Move, laugh. I like it. Humor is good.
And give input. They want to play a certain kind of game. They want to add in this kind of character or what have you. So be interested enough to add input.
Have choice, have input. Yeah. Do you want to add something there, Rebecca? I think you're muted as well.
Gain confidence out of.
Okay. Yep.
Out of it.
Gain confidence. Great. Is there anything else that anyone thinks is missing out of this list? Junpei, is Junpei there?
I am.
What would you add in here, Junpei?
Feeling secure to do a challenge.
That's nice. Feel secure.
Mm-hmm.
To do a challenge, okay. So you mean like not be worried about taking risks?
Right. And not worrying about other students or teacher judging the student.
Excellent. Yep. I agree with that. Okay, I'm going to move on a little bit from this here, and I'll give you my list. I think a lot of the things you've said here are on it. And there is no, of course, exhaustive list. These are just the things that I feel make the most conducive environment to learning in the type of course that we've created. So things like students take risks, similar to what Junpei said. Students communicate. Students think. They're not just sort of going through the motions or just playing. Students speak in English. This is something that I think is really quite important. To make our activities really work well, it's important that they know that they need to rely on English, and it's not just an option to use. It's something that they have to use in order to complete the activities. Students have fun, but are not overly excited at all times. So there's nothing easier than making children have fun. If that's your only goal, play dodgeball, just whip a ball at them and they're going to jump around and have fun. But we want them to have fun in a way where their minds are engaged and they're not kind of too hyper. But the occasional bit of hyperness and excitement is obviously not a bad thing, but we don't want it to get in the way of the learning. Students do things on their own. This was something that was kind of mentioned as well. So having some kind of autonomy or some kind of input. Students have a desire to know, and finally students are motivated. And that obviously is not a simple thing, but we'll break it down a little bit. So here are some of the things that I think we can do to create this environment? So first of all, this is something that I've really noticed after years of teaching and also observing other teachers and talking to them about their lessons. Your expectations of what your students can or can't do will manifest in their behavior. If you have a low-level student and you think this student is only capable of repeating things back, so I'm just going to keep on drilling them, then that's all they're going to be able to do. So if you don't believe that your students are capable of working together in pairs, talking, thinking, and you don't expect them to do it, they won't do it. And it's that having that belief that's not shaken necessarily by what students are doing. Obviously, you set up a task and it doesn't work. You might go, oh, they just can't do it. It's too hard. It's impossible for them. But I think it's important to kind of keep that expectation, help them a bit, and give it some time. You'll find that students gradually will become more and more able to communicate and speak and say things that they want to say if we give them opportunities to do that, and we keep that expectation up. Next one, give students things to talk about and the tools to do so. Obviously, if you want your kids to talk and you just say, hey kids, what did you do yesterday? Talk together. That's not terribly inspiring. You're going to get a lot of, I don't know, or school, or that kind of thing. So you kind of need to give them something that really gets them excited, makes them want to talk. And the tools to do so, by that I mean they need to have the language to do it. So if you throw them into an activity and they don't have the vocabulary or the grammar that they need, well, grammar's less important, definitely vocabulary. If they don't have that, then they're probably going to get stuck and not really enjoy it. But if you give them all of the language that they need in order to do the activity, then they've got that entry point, and then you've created a situation where they are actually talking and thinking at the same time. And again, we'll look at more specific examples of these things when I go through the other teaching skills. Challenge students cognitively. They will be more excited if they have to think about things, more interested. Just asking them about their preferences all the time. Do you like this? Do you like this color? What did you do? Just stating facts. That only goes so far. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing to do, but students will learn more deeply if they're also thinking. They're using their minds to work things out as they're using language. Create a culture where using English is normal. Now, this is not necessarily an easy thing. It does take a bit of time. And I've given tips to some of you about this in the past, I think. But at our school, we do have a very strong no Japanese policy, or we say English only policy. So saying don't speak Japanese can not be a really positive way to frame the rule. And use praise as much as possible when students take risks or attempt to say something that shows that they're trying to use English. The praise is the strongest tool in that area. And it's not only good for the child that's taken the risk, the peripheral praise effect is also very powerful with that. Children around them will go like, oh, he said that and the teacher praised that, so that's what's expected. So I'm going to try to do that more. This over time can build a solid culture. I've got classes where no one would even think. Sometimes they leave the school and they're still talking in English in the stairs, and they haven't kind of realized like, oh yeah, we can actually go back to Japanese. And these are not high-level speakers. They're students that are really struggling and kind of putting together, just communicating their meaning with basic words and gestures and that kind of thing. It can absolutely be done. Have a wide variety of activity types. We mentioned songs. A couple people mentioned songs. Sometimes listening, sometimes singing, sometimes playing games, sometimes listening to stories, sometimes talking, sometimes moving around. This will suit the largest variety of different learner styles, different interests, and you'll make sure that you don't have, if you kind of go through the same routine, we always come in, we do game A, B, C, the novelty effect will wear off, which results in less mental activation. Over time, some students will kind of stagnate if you don't have enough kind of variety and different types of input and activities for students. Setting up activities in a way that they can be done without your help. And we'll look at this again later. This is super, I think is really, really important. If the students get used to you saying, hey, you guys do this activity, talk together, to the point where you can actually literally leave the room. I'm not saying you should, sometimes you should, then that's where the real learning happens. That's the kind of environment that we're trying to create with AAS. Yeah, in fact, I think leaving the room sometimes can be a positive thing. Be careful, don't quote me on that without explaining the full thing. But sometimes when teachers are always kind of looking over students going like, what, now you say this and you do this or whatever, you get in the way of learning, and the students feel pressured and they won't, you know, perform without you there. Whereas if you actually take off for a bit, they're like, well, I guess we just stop looking at the teacher for help and do it ourselves. So just be aware that your presence is not always helping, even if that's what you're trying to do. Two last ones here before we move on to the next skill. Meaningful stories, games, and songs that lead into language work. This is what we've tried to do with Awesome Adventure series. Instead of going, hey, we're going to study the present simple and then we're going to do a game that practices it, we start with a story, a song, or some kind of game. And after that, once they're in it, they're already talking about it, they know some of the language, pick it out from there and maybe do a little bit of work on it afterwards. But the guide for these courses is meaning, cognitive engagement, interest, and the language work follows that. It's not sort of the driving principle of it. If you try to write a song using just like can, you end up writing a song that's pretty boring. I've tried before and I kind of gave up on that. Yeah. Finally, appropriate level of challenge, enough autonomy for the students, letting them have some choice and ability to do things on their own, and relatedness, them being able to do things together. These are the three key ingredients in getting students really motivated and enjoying learning and enjoying coming to class every time. All right, so that was a bit of a lot of stuff in one quick explanation there. The whole point there is that these are some of the things that we can do to create an environment that will allow our classes to kind of operate the way we want, and allow the rest of the things, which I'm going to go through next, to work the way they should. So really quick next, oh, sorry. Yeah, you know, I'm going to skip over this. Okay, really quick, some of the things that teachers do in classes and there's more to this list. Oh, I spelled that wrong. It's embarrassing. All right. Sometimes we have to be a bit more controlling. Sometimes we'll drill language and get focus on the details of it. Sometimes we're being, again, more kind of hands-on and giving immediate feedback. Sometimes we're being a little bit more hands-off and giving delayed feedback, letting the students make mistakes and not immediately jumping on them every time they make a mistake. And at the end of a task, things we do are we model tasks. We show them what's expected for them to do in a task, support them, give them a bit of help when they're trying to do things, setting up activities, monitoring while they're doing activities. And here I put as well, disappear. I think a key thing is when you're monitoring activities, you don't kind of fall down the trap of always trying to correct or help, or, you know, if you're a teacher, you want to teach, right? You always want to kind of jump in there, but actually giving them a bit more space, and then doing a bit more delayed feedback. Actually, question for everybody here. I'm not going to do a poll or anything like that, but how many of you use delayed feedback with your young learners?
Do I? Not sure.
Not sure. How about you, Dora?
I do. So when, for example, we have some phonics games and they already did sometimes a good choice on it, and then maybe, you know, they tend to forget, their memory is not that strong yet. I just let them know, okay, are you sure? Sure, okay, let's pick it, and then just chose the other one later on that is correct, for example. So yes.
Okay, interesting. How about you, Pippa? Oh, you're muted again, sorry.
maybe at the end sometimes with the higher level students.
Mhm.
We did this, this, and this, and then maybe
Okay,
points out.
so feedback on performance,
Yeah.
how they've achieved the task. That's all very
What we
important.
did, yeah.
Yeah. So the interesting thing, Dora, you mentioned phonics. I think when it comes to feedback technique, the two different types, immediate feedback and delayed feedback, would have very different desired outcomes. So if we're doing an activity that is highly accuracy focused, where we really want the students to just get that point right, then we tend to favor immediate feedback. We want the students to know they got it right or they got it wrong right at that moment. Whereas if we're working on something that's more fluency or communicative, the immediate feedback can really damage the fluency, and we might want to kind of keep that delayed. So I think I see with a lot of young learner classes that I've seen, I do see more immediate feedback than delayed feedback. And particularly when students are really low level and they speak really slowly and don't have a lot to say, it's really easy to catch those mistakes. So we tend to jump on those the quickest. And those might be the students that need the most sort of space. Whereas higher level students that can speak a lot, we're like, okay, well, we can sit back and give them delayed feedback. But just something to think about. Yeah, if we're looking for fluency work, maybe consider keeping your feedback for a separate session. And in my experience, young learners absolutely love delayed feedback. When it's not you saying, hey, you said this, but it's like, hey, some people said these things. They get really excited about correcting it. And I'll show you some different examples of that in a bit as well. Okay, moving along. So we'll take a look at skill number 2 now. And this is teaching vocabulary, and I've got a whole other session on this particular area, so I'm not going to spend too much. We're just kind of going to go over some basic ideas of how this is done in the Awesome Adventure series. So first one, question. Oh, actually, back up for a second. So I've put here teaching vocabulary and Lexis. Who can tell me what Lexis means and how is this different from the word vocabulary? No one wants to stand out there.
I was thinking it was using phrases.
Yep, I mean, that's part of it. Yep, you're close there. Yeah, so Lexis is more of a flexible word. You might think of vocabulary being on one end of the spectrum and grammar being on the other end, and Lexis being kind of the in-between. So like that, phrases, collocations, like play tennis together would be considered Lexis rather than vocabulary. Dependent prepositions, interested in, those kinds of things can be, or yeah, sentence stems like you mentioned, phrases. So the term is a bit important because we do use a lot of different kinds of chunks in Awesome Adventure series. So a couple of questions to start off with here. What vocabulary should we teach? Why teach vocabulary? And how, of course, should we teach vocabulary? So I want to take a look at what and why first, really quickly. Now, for Awesome Adventure series, we've borrowed from the CLIL methodology in our approach to vocabulary. So in CLIL, the guiding sort of line for course development is not the language. We don't say we're going to do present simple and then we're going to look at routines of people around the world. You start with the content and then the language supports that. So taking, for example, a science experiment. So CLIL will break it language work in ways to support this into 3 different categories. One is called language of learning, one is language for learning, and one is language through learning. So this is incredibly confusing terminology. It's very, very hard to remember which is which. But to make it more simple for you, language of learning is words that students need in order to understand the content area. So for example, if they're doing a science experiment, they might need words like dilute, dissolve, temperature. Without these, they might not be able to read a simple text on it. They might not understand instructions. It'll be very hard to access the content at all. Language for learning is the types of language that they need in order to interact or communicate about that particular topic or in the context of that content. So for example, add more water or I'll write it down might be some phrases that they actually need in order to cooperate while doing this experiment or working out the results. Finally, language through learning is language that comes out of the task. This is where kind of delayed feedback can be a part of it. You've got students involved in a topic, doing something that interests them, and they're trying to express themselves, and they don't always quite have the language to do it. So for example, if someone says, oh, how many water? You might pick that up for delayed feedback, or you might just take a note of it as, oh, this is emerging language. This is something that this student is now at the level that they need this. And then that type language work on that type of thing is much more likely, you're much more likely to have uptake of something like that than you are of a language point that you kind of started the lesson with. Because it's right at the student's level. It's what they're trying to use and trying to work out. And they'll probably get more opportunities to use it within the same task and like a sort of fresh start, second chance. So more specifically, looking at some of the vocabulary in our textbook. Can you guys see this? Is this really tiny? You can see? Okay. So this would be, so some words here, for example, call, for a long time, heal, I made a mistake, in trouble. These are all different words that the students would need in order to understand the story that's coming up. Now, other ones here, what color are they? What do they have? What do they look like? These phrases actually do come up in the story as well, but then these are ones that they're actually going to be needed. They're actually going to need to use. So these will be kind of turn into language for learning in subsequent tasks, such as, getting a little brain freeze on my PowerPoint here, just a second. There we go. So this is kind of like a guess who game where students ask each other questions and identify which weird creatures they're talking about. So those, yeah, so the phrases there are actually used, they're introduced in the same vocabulary kind of lesson, but it's for different purposes, more for communication than it is for understanding the content. Moving along, where are we in time? Okay, a little bit behind, not so bad. Okay, so the next couple of things here for vocabulary, I'm just going to breeze through this really quickly. Sequencing. In our lesson plans, we do lay out a nice kind of idea for sequencing activities to help students gradually learn them. This is something that you can just check in the lesson plans, and I have another session on this as well, if anyone's interested in another point. Another thing is focusing on meaning, how that's gone about, which I'll take a look at in a bit more detail in a second. And then finally, getting them to use it for something meaningful. And this is where the other activities come. So basically in the vocabulary portion of our lessons with AAS, we're just trying to get them to to understand the words and be able to produce them, but not really deeply acquire them yet. That part happens when they actually do the activities, talk about the stories and all that kind of thing. So that's, yeah, it's not done when you just get them to memorize the words. So there's an example of our lesson plan, the Lexis section. For example, an activity for showing and showing the meaning of the words, an identify activity, a drill game, CCQ, which is concept checking question. We're going to do that in a second. And finally, a game that would have them actually producing the language actively. Of course, you can replace all of this with the Gamerized dictionary. I think it does a better job than actually doing the vocabulary in class. It's great when they come to class, and then you can just kind of go straight into the good stuff. But yeah, I find they learn it quicker through Gamerized than they actually do through the game sequence. Right. So let's look at meaning. So in a lot of courses, you might find vocabulary will be a list of concrete nouns and often lexical sets. So example like fruit, apple, banana, pear. obviously, there's not a lot of work that needs to be done to convey the meaning. The picture will do that. But in Awesome Adventure series, we do have, again, phrase stems, chunks, and some more tricky vocabulary that we want the students to understand without us explaining in Japanese. And this can be done through concept check questions. So for example, this one here, I would probably clarify this way. So that if the students have already learned what it is, can anyone guess what this boy is saying here? Rebecca probably knows, no? Go for it.
Can you fly? Is that right?
What's the boy saying?
Is he? Oh no, I can't. No.
How about you, Deborah? Have you got an idea there?
There aren't flying elephants.
Okay, we're close. So yeah, so you see that the picture itself is not actually going to completely convey the meaning, and it requires a bit more work from the teacher. So I would put it up this way. The girl says, "I saw a pink flying elephant," and the boy says, "That's not true," or "It's not true." And then to concept check true, you could ask a few students, a couple of questions like this. So go, please, everybody go like this. True, not true. True, not true. Okay, ready? I'm a teacher. True, good, okay. I can fly. Not true, okay. I'm Spider-Man. There you go. No, Rebecca thought about that for a second. I'm not Spider-Man yet. But yeah, there you go. So a little concept check like that will help them to understand the concept of true and not true. And then we can continue to practice with that. We don't need to do that exhaustively. It's really just to kind of get them to go, okay, that's what it means. Another example here, the sentence for this one is, he can do anything. Now the word anything's a little bit hard to teach. But we've got this little trick for it. So this boy can do anything. He can swim, he can play piano, he can fly, he can pick up a car, he can run fast, he can save the world. Can he eat 100 hamburgers? Yes, he can, yeah. Can he dance? Yes, he can, that's right. He can do anything. So you typically you'll have kids that see that dance is not on there and they'll go, oh no, you can't dance, and you're like, no, he can do anything, he can dance. And then you continue with the concept checking, and then they're like, oh, okay, so the answer is yes, he can do all of the things. So there's a quick little thing on concept checking. And again, some of the useful things about this, if you were to use Japanese, they would have immediate clarity, but you would be robbing them of the opportunity to work through the meaning. And they also lose the practice of working out meaning. And more important than learning that word itself, developing the skill of trying to figure out language and trying to make guesses and work it out is something that's something that will pay off for their whole lives as language learners, and perhaps other things as well. So that concept, don't give up on the concept checking and switch to Japanese too quickly. Occasionally, you might have a child that doesn't take to it, and you might pull them aside and just go like just quickly whisper it to them. That's fine. I don't have to do it much, but the effort, mental effort also leads to better retention. So if you get the answer quickly, you're much less likely to retain it as well. There you go. And there's, of course, you can use Gamerized Dictionary to help you with your vocabulary work as well. It goes very well with the Awesome Adventure series or any other course. Moving along, let's take a look at teaching skill 3, teaching through songs. I'm going to show you a couple of videos that show techniques for teaching songs, and then we're also going to look at how songs can be excavated or exploited for more language work through guided discovery activities or other, and also how in the course we use the language that are in songs. We get further practice the language that are in songs through communicative activities. So really quick first, I don't know who knows. I'm going to just play you a clip of a song because most of the activities are going to go along with this. Dora, have you done Here Come the Unicorns in your class?
No.
Okay, I think you were using AAS3 for a while there, yeah.
Yes.
All right, so here we go. Oh, I'm not sharing audio, am I? Nice catch, Adam. There we go.
We'll destroy it all. We can do anything. We're 10 feet tall.
We can use magic to grow new trees. We can grow flowers to bring back the bees.
There we go. Stop there. So some of the language that is in that, so this is a face-off kind of battle between unicorns and robots, and they're threatening each other, saying we can, we will. So that bit of language is used quite a bit in it, but not in a kind of a stale way. And we can take a look at some ways that we can exploit that coming up as well. I have two videos that show different song techniques. I kind of want to save on a bit of time. Have most of you seen my TPR song teaching video? Some of
From
you,
one of
yes.
the earlier books.
Yeah,
Wait.
it is from an earlier one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I'll post a link after as well if anyone is interested. That's kind of our more basic way of teaching it, by teaching the actions first and giving the kids a lot of chances to hear the song before they're actually singing. Now I've got a video of a follow-up activity that can be used, which is really learner-centered and really gets the students to practice the songs in an engaged kind of way. I'm gonna have to find this on YouTube really quick. Okay, this is the one. All right. So this is a way of teaching songs that I call rehearsal, where we kind of hand the practice over to the students, and again, kind of put ourselves in that position of monitoring and just watching them go.
Can't stop a singing unicorn. You can't stop us. Crush your magic oil. Okay. We can save the world. Good. Ouch, tight
There you go. So you can kind of see at the end of that one there, even that little boy was pointing at the board and kind of correcting the girl and saying, no, we said it's will there, not can. So that's a nice one, I think, just because of just the amount that they're producing. rather than actually getting them, you know, one by one to say the lines and doing it as a group, just saying like, you guys go. The way we set that up also, yes, Pippa's got to go, or okay. What was I going to say there? Sorry. Right. What was my thought? Right. Okay. Sorry. The way I set that one up there was as a battle. So one group was practicing the unicorns parts, and one group was practicing the robot parts. So we kind of followed that up with like a song battle, which was motivating and fun for them. Okay. Now taking a look at how that can be then used. For extra language practice. Okay, here we go. So we'll take a look at some guided discovery activities. So here are 2 sheets, and you will find these on the online resources in the pack for this unit. One of them here is something that helps them to understand the meaning of can and will. So the students just need to look at the pictures and write either can and will. And again, this is not a practice activity. They're not doing it over and over and over to just sort of drill that in. It's just to get them to understand the usage of it. Bottom part here also clarifies form, the contracted form of will. The next sheet is a lyric gap fill. So the students will plug in can or will or the contracted form while listening to the song lyrics. And I'll give you an idea what that looks like in our classes. Here we go.
Now, look at this paper here. We're going to go to the table really quick. This paper here. So the lion, I eat cows, rabbits, and zebras. Is it can or will?
Can.
I can. Now this one, I eat you.
I won't.
I
will.
will.
I will.
Will. Okay, so can or will. In these ones, please write can or will.
Okay.
Get your pencil and come to the table.
Read. Other.
Yeah. Yep. So I can eat cows, rabbits, and zebras. I will eat you, right? So can, will.
Can will.
Yep. This is can. That's can. This is will. Yeah. I can crush you. I will crush you.
Oh no! I can.
You finished, Yuki. So in the space, you need to write can or will. This is the unicorn song. Here we go. Will, is it we can pollute the ocean or will pollute the ocean?
Will pollute the ocean.
Okay, so here you'll write L, L, L. Now next one, we crush the fish into a paste. Is it can or will?
The video's paused.
Can.
Is it can or will?
Can.
Can, okay. So listen and I'll stop it and you try to write will or can.
There you go. I'll stop it with that. So you get the idea there. By listening to the song after, they really get a chance to notice it. And these kids, I think that they really did get, whether they will start using can and will naturally right after that, I don't think so. Some of them will start to use it a bit more, but it definitely plants the seed and gets them to notice it more. And that's the sort of the natural way that children acquire language rather than exhaustive drilling, that sort of thing. Are there any questions about the guided discovery activities? We're all right. Okay, let's keep on going then. So again, yeah, it's not finished there. For these, if we're doing that song, we can also move on and do this speaking activity. This is the humans versus the robots. Again, it recycles all of the vocabulary from the song and other things as well. We might get a chance to try this activity out at the end, since it seems like a lot of people want a bit more help with how to run the activities. But again, this gives them opportunities to use will and can in the context of that song. In this, the students would say things like, we will help the birds, and the robots say, oh no, you can't help the birds. We will stop you, or that sort of thing. And there's, yeah, anyways, I'll demonstrate this hopefully later at the end of the session. This activity as well, this follows the story, but this is a battle over the earth between the robots and the unicorns. And again, there are lots of opportunities for the students to use language such as, not can and will in this case, but pollute, destroy, protect, different words that are in the story and song. Okay, so let's move on now to skill number 4, and this is teaching through stories. Again, I have another full session that I think I did recently. Some of you might have seen on techniques to use during telling a story, but I also want to look at how we can use the activities that are in the book and also the tasks that are in the readers themselves to get more communication and more thinking about the stories to take place. Yeah, so in terms of if you do the stories as a live reading, you can do different things like ask the students prediction questions. You can ask them questions about the characters' feelings, the reasons for how they feel. There are different techniques as well you can do. If they've already familiar with the story, you can make mistakes as you're reading and have the students correct you. You can have them help you to tell the story. You might stop at a certain point and say like, okay, can you just tell me what happens next? And the students are often really quite excited about trying to finish off the ideas. If you do that too much in one reading, it might slow down the pace of the story and kind of not be as fun. So I would say to mix it up with periods where you're just telling them a story and they get that experience of relaxing and enjoying the story, and periods where you're kind of asking them questions and getting them involved. So I want to look at some of the activities that we have in the book. These, again, a lot of them, without looking at the lesson plan, you wouldn't really know how to use them. This is one, we call these story summary activities. It's written at the top there. Oops. Here we go. So this is from the level, second story of the level 4 course. And in the story, there are a lot of rules. The main characters are shipped off to a very strict boarding school where there's tons of rules. They're not allowed to play music or do loads of different things like that. And one of the things that we can get them to do as a comprehension activity with this is look at the picture, talk together, what rules are being broken according to the story. So they might say, oh yeah, you're not allowed to have instruments. You're not allowed to hum. You're not allowed to ask questions, and they point things. And there's also some differences from what are in the story. So can you find some differences from things that are in the story? For example, the computer is next to the desk here. In the story, they refer to it. They have to actually steal something from it. So it's behind the desk in the story. So they can find little differences that way. Gets them thinking about the story and also gives them lots of chances to speak about the story while thinking. Another example here, this is from the final story of the level 3 series. And this one you can use it a few different ways. So it wouldn't be just finished within one lesson. You can use it a couple times. The first time they might listen to the story and follow the ship to the different planets, draw a line along the map showing where it goes. So in the story, they go through the asteroids, then they go to a planet that's small and red. So they would have to make a choice. Oh, which one is small and red? And they describe a few different planets, and they can just draw the lines to the planets the first time. The second time in the story, they're scanning the different planets and talking about the features of them. they can fill out these little information cards, whether it has water, air, animals, what's the temperature, what's the weather like. This one was really successful the last few times I did it. The kids really kind of enjoyed logging the information as they went through. So that's a neat little activity as well. Again, this one can be used then again after they've done it, talk together which planets did the ship go to. And they can say, for example, first they went to this planet, then they went to this planet. Or they can say, first they went to this planet, it has no air. Then they went to this planet. They can actually kind of summarize or recap the story using these. This one is great for that as well. The level 4 series has is themed around the characters and their skills and abilities and personalities. So this is one of the activities from the very first story, and you need to connect the character to the different activities or things that they do. And again, this can be used to have the students describe the characters. So talk together about the characters, and they'll literally just be able to look at the pictures for ideas and say like, oh, this is Taylor. She likes to sing, but she can't sing well. She wants to be like Angie Liger. A lot of the language that's in the book will help them to actually be able to do that. They'll have the tools to do it once you ask them to. I want to show you a quick little video of, this is a class in the first year of doing Awesome Adventure Series, and they're not a particularly high class, but I've trained them to just talk about the story. And this is an example of them discussing or recapping what they remember about the story.
Here's an activity from week 4 of the story unit, Remember the Story. This activity helps to activate or reactivate language related to the story that the students have learned. It also provides an opportunity for you to assess how well they've remembered the story and the language related to it.
You two together, you two together, and you two together.
You do.
Yeah, you two together, that's right. We're going to use, don't touch. All right, we'll look at this, and what do you remember? So like, they make robots costumes. Oh, this man is very bad. This man takes the robots. Oh, they get shocked. They go to
Big Black Building.
anything's okay, right?
They go to
What do you
the
remember?
Big
Any
Black
picture,
Building.
anything's okay.
They go to the
Lots of
Big Black
speaking,
Building.
lots of points, okay? All right, get your books and come back. You don't need that. No book, that's okay. That's okay, it's okay. Very good. Point for Tiger, point for Cookie.
Go to the house.
We'll go to the house. Okay, bye.
Buy the house. Bye.
Pet Plus is a brand name, a pet shop, pet store name, yeah.
Make a roll.
Make a robot costume. What's this? They buy hamsters. Very nice, Yurina. Point. Okay.
Monster.
Is it a monster? Okay. What's this? Lava. That is lava. That's right. Okay, good. Stop there. All right. No problem.
There you go. So just a quick activity. The days when a cough in the classroom wasn't scary. Right. So, yeah, I mean, it's a short little activity, but they did actually get some good production in there. And one of the reasons is because they know the story to an extent and they have things to say. And the pictures act as a nice productive scaffold and helps it to make that more manageable. What was I going to say about that as well? One of the points in that I think the titles picked up was praising the first person who actually takes the risk and starts to speak. So the chances are in some of your, I don't know what your classes are like or the levels, you might have some classes where you set up an activity like that and you get silence at first, which can be a bit daunting and frustrating. But it's really the first time somebody does kind of like just take a risk and say like, oh, robot, anything, the easiest thing possible. Really make a big public display out of that. And over time, that will create, again, that atmosphere of students wanting to talk together and not feeling at all worried about it. Right, so now we'll take a look again at some other ways that the activities in the book can be used for extra communication practice. And I thought I had another thing there. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. So in the book, in the level 4 book, this is again when they're at they're at the boarding school. They're trying to escape and they're trying to form an escape plan. And this character, Nina, remembers where all of these items are that her brother Declan has said that they need in order to make a transmitter. And the next thing in the book is this task right over here. And you look at their plan, and the students need to decide based on the characters, what they understand about the characters' personalities and skills. They have to choose a team of 2 for each step in the plan. This here is the end. It's in the end of the book, and this is a way for them to check their answers on their own. But essentially, as a group, you can get them to talk through this and then use this to check their answers, which this activity worked quite well for me. And I've actually got a couple little videos that I took on my phone of this class doing it. So have a quick look at that.
Nina.
Everybody agrees? Okay, what's next?
Tricky. Let's sound different and color. Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
Declan and Carlo?
Then Declan and Nina. Declan and Nina. Okay.
So what's the last one?
Nina and Declan.
Nina and Declan?
Yes.
So we've got Declan 2 times, okay. So now we're going to check the answers. Hold on a second.
Stop. Get a bit of freeze there again. So there are some phrases in the book that they were using there. It says, let's send, I think we should send Declan, or I think we should send blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. So they can use those phrase stems to kind of produce with a little bit more language. Without that, they do tend to gravitate towards just saying names and pointing, but just encouraging them to use phrases will help to get a bit more production out of them. And then here's a quick image, a quick video of them checking their own answers here.
Carlo. Yes.
There you got it. Okay, nice.
Nina.
Number 3, right? Oh.
Carlo. No. This. This is Carlo. No. What? Nina?
Hold on a second, guys. So this one is sneak behind and get the circuit board, right? So you said Carlo, right? English.
I think they've
please.
discovered that they were wrong. And they've decided to change answers here.
Wait. Carlo.
He's right. Okay.
Okay. Next is what? 2. T. Carlo.
All right, you get the idea there. So obviously they're not super high level students, but they are able with basic language to communicate and successfully finish that task. And hopefully after that, I can give them some feedback and again, raise their language level a bit for subsequent tasks. This is the same level again, level 4 series. In the first comic, they need to escape from their houses they want to get to the park to record a YouTube video. And at the bottom here, for each character, they've got an escape plan, and the students need to talk together to sequence the escape plan. So they might say, I think they should like go out the door first. No, I think they should get their jackets first. Okay, good idea. They'll have a little conversation about the plan, check the answers, and then if they're correct, we move forward with the story. So there's a lot of these little kind of speaking activities within the stories. This is another one in the level 3 series. Level 3, there's an order to go through the book. They need to visit these different places in order, in the correct order. So they might discuss which one they want to go to, and then when they receive something from that one, they might have an idea where they want to go next. So that also, I've had lots of luck with getting kids to have short conversations, even low-level kids, using these things. So let's go here first, a good idea, or no, I don't want to go there, or whatever. I have a video of that, but I'm going to skip it. And right, so we're going to move on to the last thing, which I think is probably the most important one, and I've actually left myself enough time for it. This is great. Which is teaching skill 5, and this is how to run learner-centered tasks. Seems easy to do, but particularly with lower level students, getting them to work independently together using only English can be a little bit of a trick. Before I move on to this, since we are slightly on time, does anyone have any questions about the stories or songs or vocabulary stuff we've looked at so far? We're all looking good? Okay, good. For this last part, I'm going to show you a few different activities, and hopefully we can set up and actually play a couple of them. I'm not the best online teacher myself. I tend to struggle a bit with the breakout rooms and all that kind of thing, but we'll give this a try as well. So some of the games, sorry, again, who has used Awesome Adventure Series here? Can I see a hands up? Okay, we've got, yeah, Rebecca and Dora. So some of the activities in the Awesome Adventure Series are quite complex and can be a little bit hard, a little bit challenging for the teacher to get it so that the students understand what they need to do and to actually do it right. Have you encountered that, Rebecca or Dora? Yep, okay. So hopefully I can help with that a bit. One of the biggest pieces of advice I would give for that is play the game yourself first. If you walk into the class and you don't really know how it's gonna work, you're probably not gonna get the best results. You really kind of need, even now that, even having written the course and having played these games for a lot of times, I will typically write my basic instructions on the board for myself so that when I'm explaining it, I don't kind of start going, saying too much stuff or going off track. So just having that really concise plan of how you're going to set it up will ensure that it actually works well. So here are some of the different kind of, I guess, techniques within this skill. One is clarify the rules and use ICQs. An ICQ is an instruction check question. So you might, if it's a game that has multiple stages, you might explain what has to happen in one stage and then ask a couple of questions to make sure that the students are listening and actually following you. They might be going like, yeah, I get it. But as soon as you start that game, guaranteed one of them is going to go like, what are we doing? So the ICQs are great. You catch the students kind of like, oh, wait, I wasn't listening. Oh, what was that again? And then they want to know, and they're actually kind of really focused on what you're saying. Modeling the tasks is really important. Scaffolding. Does everyone know what I mean by scaffolding? So providing scaffolding essentially is support for either a productive activity or can be a receptive activity. In terms, a really simple example of scaffolding for these speaking activities would be giving phrase stems. If your students can read, that's obviously quite helpful. You can write like, I think we should ... That's sort of a simple example of scaffolding. You could use speaking frames where you've got different question and answers in a frame that helps them, or even just like images and visuals and stuff like that can be different forms of scaffolding. So using modeling, scaffolding, staggering instructions is important. If you've got a task that has 4 different parts to it, don't explain it all in one shot. explain just part one, have them do part one, then explain part two, have them do part two. Once they've gotten through all of the parts, then you can repeat the activity and they can go through all of the parts on their own. Chances are if you spend 15 minutes, explaining an activity, they won't remember what the beginning was by the time you get them started. Finally, monitoring and disappearing and giving feedback. So I've got a couple of short videos that demonstrates that. First one is the instructions for the Battle for the Earth game. And this is a good example of clarifying the rules and then asking instruction check questions. So let me jump into this one here quick.
There are these nature areas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 nature areas. Okay, there are factories. 1, 2, 3. How many factories?
5. 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 5.
Okay, 5 factories, right? Okay, now, stop, please look here. Don't touch. These are robots. These are unicorns. The unicorns start here and here. Okay, go, put them on the start.
Over here.
No?
Robot. Over here.
Yurina, over here.
And over here.
Okay, and the robot starts here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let's stop. Okay, listen. Wait. Yurina, finish up. Thank you. So the robots want to destroy these nature areas. The unicorns want to stop the robots. They want to save the world. Okay? So, in one turn, unicorns can move 5 spaces. So, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Or they can destroy one robot. 1, 2, 3. Here's my robot. 1, 2, 3, bye-bye, and stop.
4.
That was 3. Where's my robot?
I don't know.
It's okay, I'll get it out. Okay, stop, it's okay. Now, the robots can move 1 space, or they can pollute 1 nature area. They can pollute 1 nature area, right? Whoa. So, unicorn, can I have this spot? Can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and clean 1 nature area. Okay? Now, 1 nature area, if 3, listen, Yurina, 3 spaces are polluted, the nature area is destroyed, right? So 1, 2, 3, destroyed. Okay? Now, every 1, 2, 3 turns, what happens?
5 more robots.
We get 5 more robots. The factory is making, each factory gets 1 more robot. 5, 6, 7, what happens?
1 more 4 robots.
1 more 4.
5.
5 more robots, okay? So, robots start. Boom, 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 boom. Next, unicorns. Boom, 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 boom. And when you're finished 1 turn, look here, Tencho. You have to check. Okay, then robots, unicorns, check. Robots, unicorns, check. 5 more robots. Unicorns, check. Okay. When we have 15 turns, the game is finished. The game is finished. Okay. All right. So, question.
So that's quite a lot of instructions, as you can tell. And obviously you haven't got the materials in front of you, so it might be a bit hard to catch. So the next part is the concept check, instruction check questions, and this is where we'll see whether they've understood it.
Question, hands up if you can answer. How many spaces can the unicorns move? Yurina. Unicorns, how many spaces? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. The unicorns can move 5 spaces. Robots, how many spaces? 1. Okay. Now, for unicorn, can I have a unicorn, please? Is this okay? 1, 2, 3, destroy robot. 4, 5. Okay. No. 1, 2, 3, destroy robot, and finished. Okay. All right. You ready? Yeah, we have 10 minutes. We're okay. Okay, ready and start. Go for it. And you guys have to talk together. Yeah, robots first. Stop. Robots first. Let's go here.
There you go. So yeah, a bit of a lengthy setup there. I think that was about 5 minutes, but they did get it and they did start playing right away after. And the other thing that's interesting about that is, as like a listening task, listening and trying to understand the instructions to a game, it couldn't get any more authentic than that. And that's, listening to a story obviously is authentic in a way, but this is something that their comprehension is going to show in what they do after that. Which isn't to say that you should make your instructions complex; they should be as simple as possible. But it is just understanding how to play the game is a valuable part of the lesson, I think. Okay, so that one I think mainly showcases the explaining the rules and then instruction checking. The next one I want to show, this is a much easier activity, probably 6 months before that one video was taken. And in this one, we'll see more of the modeling and use of scaffolding. Okay, let me see. Okay. First thing that you're going to see here, you'll probably notice that I'm really careful to make sure everybody's paying attention. The most frustrating thing is when you give instructions and somebody wasn't listening. So having some kind of routine to make sure that the students are really listening when you're giving the instructions, especially to something that's a bit longer or more complex, can really help. So this, you'll notice this girl here knows the routine and she initiates it before I do. Let's see what happens.
Hands on your heads.
She put her hands up on
Okay.
before.
Okay. So we're going to do.
It's a bit militaristic, but it works.
Chuki, chef. Chef? You're a chef. You're the chef. Yurina, customer. Okay. Tensho, you say you guys are chef. Okay. Taiga, customer. Actually, wait a second. Yes. Okay. Yeah, you. Don't punch yourself. No. Okay. So first step, like this. This is sauce. These are our toppings. Okay. I need to make more space for the toppings. Who's chef? No, customer. Customers, close your book. Down. Okay. Here's our sauce. Don't touch. Okay.
I made a critical error there. Never hand out the materials before giving the instructions that I paid for right there.
Let's put out our toppings as well. Toppings after. So first, so the chef will say.
Okay, so this is modeling. This is something I often do with a puppet or a stuffed animal. Doesn't matter if it's teenagers. It doesn't matter if it's kids in grade 5 or 6. it works, and it also tends to lighten the atmosphere. It creates that kind of like atmosphere where, you know, it's okay to be silly. So I highly recommend modeling your instructions with a stuffed pig.
Here's customer.
There you go.
Do you want
Nice one.
sauce? Yes, please. Stop. How's this? More, please. Okay. How's this?
More, please.
Okay. How's this?
More, please.
Okay. How's this?
Meat, please.
No, wait. Sauce. We're doing sauce. More, please.
I didn't intend to use him.
Whoa, that's enough. Okay. All right, stop. Okay, so just do sauce, please. So, you guys say, do you want sauce?
Do you want the sauce?
You say, yes, please. More, please.
Yes, please.
More, please.
Okay, go.
More, please. No. How this? More, please. More, please. More, please. More, please.
Okay, and then skipping ahead on that, you can see a little bit of delayed feedback. I think this is off camera, but I want to just show you that real quick. So the first time they start it, their language is quite simple, but as you give them feedback, they tend to start to upgrade little by little.
How this?
Okay.
Okay.
So I've got some language written on the board from what
Yeah,
they
this
said.
is all right. We'd say like, how's this? That's okay. Or that's okay. Or that's good.
That's good.
That's good.
That's good.
Okay, now next one I heard. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
What do we say?
Okay.
Okay.
That
Is
okay.
is
That is okay.
This,
is this okay?
Is this okay?
Is this okay?
Is this okay? Is this okay?
Good job.
And the thing that I like about doing delayed error correction with kids is you can see how much they're trying to figure out what the is missing there, because it's something that they said. You know, if you start a lesson saying like we're going to do question forms with is it, they probably won't care that much. They'll kind of go like, okay, whatever. But when it's something that they're going to be able to apply again, and that it's something they literally just were trying to say, they focus right in, and they're kind of like detectives. They really want to kind of figure out that puzzle. How does this work? Okay, the second part of this, 520, here we go.
So now, like this, look, what do you want on your pizza?
So again, I've staggered it. I did just sauce first, and now I'm doing the rest of the ingredients on the pizza. And the students can, for the first time, you might break it up like that, and then the second time when they make their next pizza, just go through all the stages by yourself.
Everybody, what do you want on your pizza? What do you want on your pizza? One time. What do you want on your pizza? What do you want on your pizza? Okay, so for example, what do you want on your pizza? Cheese, onions, and a lot of chili, please. Okay. Cheese. Oh, cheese is in this box. Sorry, this is cheese. Okay, so I'm gonna put on some cheese. Cheese. Okay. Okay. How's this? More cheese, please. Okay. Cheese, more cheese. Okay. Okay. How's this? Oh, that's good. Okay. Now, do you want peppers? Yes, please. A lot of peppers, please. Okay, peppers. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So everybody, what do you want on your pizza?
What do you want on your pizza?
Okay, stop. A lot of cheese, please.
A lot of cheese, please.
More cheese, please.
More cheese, please.
Stop, don't touch, don't touch, don't touch, don't touch. Do you want chicken?
Do you want cheese?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Do you want pineapple?
Do you want pineapple?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, I want to hear lots of English. Lots of English, lots of points, okay? Okay, ready, go.
What do you want, Jojo? What do you do? Pizza. Sausage, please. Okay. Sausage. Not sausage. Not sausage.
Okay.
More sausage.
Too spicy. So you can say less.
Okay.
One more time. Less chili. Less chili, okay. Chili, less chili.
Chili?
Yeah, she said less chili. Do you want two chicken?
Do you want to?
Is this okay?
Okay.
No. Do you want two chicken?
Do you want to ask?
Okay. Yeah, do you want chicken?
Want that?
No, two.
Do you want
chicken?
Do you want some chicken?
Okay, you did not?
Okay.
So, cheese? Do you want cheese? Cheese?
Do you want cheese?
Fish?
Do you want cheese? Do you want cheese?
Okay. Play video games? Taiga.
Yes!
Do you want?
There you go.
Do you want chicken?
No, play video games.
Do you want to play video games?
Aha! Aha! Do you want to play video games? Chicken? No, two. Play? Two. To play, okay.
Okay.
Jump! Is it, do you want to jump or want to jump? Hands up, touch your.
No. Do you want? No.
Is it to jump or do you want to jump? Do you want jump?
Do you want jump?
To jump. Okay, Chugi. Do you want to eat or do you want eat?
Do you want to?
To eat, okay? To play, to eat, to jump. Chicken, fish, cheese. Okay. Okay, next one. Corn. Everyone, say it one time.
Corn.
Corn. No. Corn. One time, Taiga. Corn. Corn.
All right, I'll stop with that there. So yeah, there you again, lots of error correction at the end, which I think is, again, that's the language through learning. This is where the action is. And that I think is something that can only happen when you really get that learner-centered environment. Oh, I paused myself on a very unfortunate face there. Right. And with one little note about error correction, I didn't go through the whole section. It's really important to pick up successful examples of language. Don't only correct errors. I try to go 50-50 with things that they've said that are correct, that I'm praising, and 50% things that are maybe need some improvement. And I, generally speaking, don't say who said it. So you don't want to say like, you said this, and it's a mistake, so let's fix it. It's just kind of like, hey, check this out. Is this good? And then they actually have to think, oh, was that right or not? In this example there, they immediately just said like, yes, it's great. And then we, had a chance to kind of dig into, the infinitive versus just nouns after want. Okay, any questions about error correction or setting up the tasks using those skills? Yes, Rebecca. You're still muted there.
Do you repeat the games at a later date? Say I've done something on book 1 and the game where the vegetables are growing and I don't know, wasn't that successful when I did it?
Right. Yeah.
So do you ever do that again?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I unfortunately feel like I never have enough time to do everything. Sometimes I'll skip a game altogether and say, like, I think it'd be much more productive for this class to repeat that game from a few months ago. Sometimes I might even say, hey, which game do you want to do again? And let them kind of choose one that they've done in the past. Because yeah, often there's just so much more you can get out of an activity by repeating it. And once you get them to understand it and to actually be able to do it, the hard part's done. And then, actually repeating it is where the kind of the benefits come out. So yeah, good question. Anything else? We're all good. Yeah, I think, again, so going back to this there, I think what I was trying to demonstrate through those was instruction check questions, modeling, scaffolding, repeating those phrases that they need before actually starting the activity. That's another kind of form of scaffolding. I had those phrases written on the board as well. You might not have been able to see. That will really help them to kind of jump in and have the confidence to communicate. Staggering instructions. Again, if there's many sections to it, break it up. Don't do it all in one shot. And then monitoring and disappearing is also important. I don't know if you got to see that as much in that activity, but the pizza one went on for quite a long time. And I was able to just kind of write feedback on the board and occasionally jump in, feed some words that someone got stuck on, do a bit of recasting and that kind of thing, but generally not sort of get in the way. Right, so that's how I feel those activities are supposed to look. We've got about 15 minutes left. I want to try running a couple of these activities with you to kind of give you an idea of how I'd set them up. And hopefully there's 4 of 5 of you there, 4 that are actually probably able to participate. So let me see if I can actually get you guys doing a couple of these activities. So this is in the level 3 series. This is book 2. And in this activity, the students need to escape from a prison. And they need to talk together and plan how they're, not plan, sorry. Talk about how they're going to get out of this prison. So let me run that with you guys as students as a kind of online version. All right, so this is how I would do it. Okay, kids, so this is a prison. Now, do good people go to prison or bad people? Bad people, yeah, bad people go to prison. So in this game, the robots, the evil robots, put you in the prison. Here you are, beep, you are in the prison. And you have to get out, escape from the prison. Now, first, okay, let's do this with Rebecca, Deborah, and Dora together. I don't know if Junpei's mic is on or what's going on with him. Junpei, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to do breakout rooms. I'll do it with just a couple of you then. Yeah, Rebecca and Deborah together. I want you to pick 4 items together. For example, let's take the spoon. No, we don't need the spoon. Let's take I forgot my puppet. Let's take the meat. Oh, okay, good idea. All right, so please talk together, choose 4 items.
All right. I think let's take the rope.
Rope. Oh, okay. That maybe we can climb out of something.
Maybe.
Okay.
Or catch some robots.
Yes. Okay. Were there things? Oh, there were dinosaurs or something, monsters. Let's take steak. Maybe we can feed them.
Okay, let's take steak. 4 items?
4.
Do you think we should take a bomb?
Let's take it.
All right, let's take a bomb.
Okay.
So violent, Junpei.
I think we might need a good costume.
Oh, that sounds adventurous. Sure. Sorry. Sold.
The costume. All right. Are we good with costume?
Sure.
Sure.
All right. Okay, so we have chosen the meat, bomb, costume, and rope. Next, you have to choose one way to escape. This way, this way, this way, or this way. Again, talk together, choose which way you'll escape. For example, let's go this way. Good idea. Or no, the dinosaur is scary. Okay. Sorry, you're not live here, so you have no way of pointing at it. Let's call it 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, go ahead, choose a way.
We have meat and costume, so I'm thinking the third one, we're gonna at least get past 2 of them. What is at the bottom? Barbed wire?
Yes, that's barbed wire.
We can use rope for that, can't we? Can we
Perhaps.
get rid of the rope?
Perhaps. And a bomb for the snakes? Or,
Yeah.
or a bomb for the wire and rope for the snakes?
Yeah, and I think the costume might get us past the robots.
Yeah, I think so. And then the meat for the tigers.
Okay, let's try.
Yeah.
Going
Let's
with
try the
3.
third
Number
way.
3.
Okay, so now on your first turn, you'll go here, talk together. What will you use? For example, let's use the rope. Okay, good idea. Or no, not the rope. Let's use the spoon or whatever. And next, we'll check the chart.
Oh, okay.
So this chart is actually not in the book. It's on. It's in the downloadable resources, and this will show you which item you've chosen and which obstacle. I've actually, sorry, I've chopped off the bottom of this to make it fit here, and barbed wire is like the one that's missing. So I'll make something up for barbed wire. But so bomb. Wait. All right. Yeah. Go ahead. So choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stick
The
with
rope?
number 3.
Number 3. Yeah. Let's use
Okay.
the rope.
Let's use the rope. Yeah, that's a good
Yes.
idea.
Get
Okay.
the
So
barbed
check
wire.
the charts. Let's pretend the dogs are actually the rope. So
Okay.
rope
12.
12. So now you need to get more than 12 on 20 to pass. Ooh. Just a second here.
Your rehearsal needs an A.
Oh my God, did I spell that wrong? That's so embarrassing. That's been on YouTube for ages. My spelling is terrible. Okay, here we go. So let's roll the dice. And
oh,
ooh, 11. Sorry, you're back to the start.
Oh,
You
didn't get
need
very
to-
far, did we?
No, you didn't get very far. Sorry.
So what
Okay,
was-
let's
what
say
was
that you
that rule?
passed. Hold on.
you rolled a dice to try to get.
Yeah, so you have to get over the number on the probability chart in order to pass.
Oh, so the dice has to be more than 12.
Yes, you need a 20-sided dice for this one.
Okay, thank you.
Sometime, like we would usually put the chart across the room so the students can't check it before, and they have to kind of run over and check.
Okay.
But you can, sometimes I'll play this in private lessons and I'll, with a higher level student, and depending on how creative their plan is, I'll give them a better chance. I'll say like, oh, you only need to get over 2 because that's a really good idea. But yeah.
Sure.
Right, so then they move on to the next one, and then hopefully they'll fail a couple times, and it's generally our games are rigged so that they should have a good chance of actually passing through it. But that's that activity there. So you get, again, I've staged it, done just choosing the items, then just choosing the direction, and then the meatier part, which was, you know, going through each and every step with the probability chart. And you can do that. Yeah, repeat it. They'll repeat it several times, and that way they'll kind of go through all of those stages together, which is nice when they actually go from, okay, let's take this, okay, good idea. Okay, next, let's go this way. They're using a few different kind of language forms together for a longer task when they do it all together. Okay. Now these here are cutouts that are at the back of the book. So you can cut them out and the students can choose them. You can have them choose or just pick them randomly in order to play that one. Okay, let's see, let's do one more. So this was an activity that I showed a little before. And I've played this online before, so it kind of works. Well, no, it works pretty well online. So this is again the battle between the humans and the robots. How well can you read the language under the pictures? Probably not at all, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let me do a thing here. Can you read it now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so Junpei and Deborah, you are the robots.
Okay.
Okay.
Robots.
Now you don't have the book in your hands, so we'll have to change this a bit. Can you pick 5 squares on here? Talk together, pick 5 squares, and it's a secret. Don't tell Rebecca and Dora. This is impossible unless I put you in breakout rooms, so don't worry about it. So pick 5 squares and just tell me what they are. Actually, type them in the chat.
Okay.
And Rebecca, Dora, don't look.
Okay, one more, go ahead.
A second there.
Okay.
Oh, I already said that one.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It's so hard to read.
There we go. Have you got 4 there?
Oh.
Smoke.
Strength.
Excellent. Yep.
Yeah, I think we got 4.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5. You need one more.
Oh, 5.
We need 5.
5.
Oh, this one. Of course.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. So we'll try to remember what those are. I've marked them down, but the other team should not know what they are. So humans, you want to do these things to save the Earth. If you can do it, then you can roll the dice and the Earth's health goes up. If the robots stop you, the Earth's health goes down. Now we start at 80%. Okay, so first, humans, you will say, for example, we will stop the lava. Okay, and robots is, did you put an X on stop the lava?
No.
No. Okay, so you say, okay, you can stop the lava, go ahead.
Okay,
And
you can
then-
stop the lava. Go
And
ahead.
then who rolls the dice?
The humans.
The humans roll the dice. Good, there you go. And robots, can you show your books to the humans?
The ones we picked?
Yeah, imagine that you're playing this in a live classroom with books. No, don't show it. You're not
Okay.
allowed to show it, okay? It's a
Okay.
secret.
Oh,
Okay.
say hold on, eh? Oh, okay, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, I was instruction checking question.
Right.
ICQing you anyways. All right. Okay, good. Let's go for it. So humans, choose one.
Okay. Let's see. Let's clean the oceans. We will clean the oceans. Is that
Yeah,
what I'm
I think it's kind of okay if in a real situation, if they use a different form, I don't usually jump on it. What do you
Yeah.
think? Dora? Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. Robots.
Sure, you can clean the oceans.
Yep.
Okay, let's roll the dice.
Yep. I have another one of those dice roller things, but I'll just roll it. Ah, it was a 6. So the health points are now what is it?
86.
86. There we go.
Okay.
Move it up. Okay, next one. Go ahead.
Let's help the birds.
Oh, that's like a good idea.
Chose that
No.
one. We can block you.
Yeah. No, you can't
You
help the
can't.
birds. We will stop you.
You can't help the birds. We will stop you.
Here we go. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Is this one? So then you guys roll the dice and you get a 3. So then goes down to 83.
Okay.
And so on. And if it gets to if it goes to 100, the humans are the winners. If it goes below 60, the Earth is destroyed and the robots are the winners.
Mhm.
Here we go. Yeah, so that's kind of a simpler game. It's not doesn't take too much effort to set up, and the kids will probably finish it in 5 to 10 minutes. So it doesn't take too much time. I'm going to stop with that for today. We're up at 1 o'clock. Yeah, thanks a lot, everyone, for coming. I hope that this was helpful and you'll have a few more ideas of how you can use it in class, and kind of an idea of what the classroom environment that you're trying to build should look like. Perhaps that was already what you had in mind, or perhaps that's affected it or changed it in some kind of ways. But yeah, thank you very much. Do you have any final questions or comments for me?
I do always wonder about the level. I mean, I have a lot of kids who've been with me 2 years. So, or even 3 or 4. And, you know, the kids who've been here 3 or 4 years find the level 2 a little, I don't know, if they're not that interested in it. Seems
I think it's too easy or too hard.
maybe it's too easy. And also I noticed like the beginning tends to be really hard. Is that right? And at the beginning I thought, oh, this is quite difficult. But as we go along, maybe they're getting used to it. And it
Yeah,
doesn't seem
definitely.
as hard anymore.
Right. I mean, if once you've got that kind of culture set up and then talking together and stuff like that, the classes runs more smoothly for sure.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out if I should level up for those older, the older kids and just do a higher level, maybe.
What grade are your students?
Hmm?
Sorry, Rebecca, what grade are you talking about?
Well, they're all over the place, but the ones who are feeling a little bit, this kind of not what I need is like the 4th and 5th graders. I'm feeling. Yeah, but some of them, I mean, you never know. Some of the 6th graders like really into it. I just don't know. So I'm just wondering about the levels.
You could certainly put them up to what book are they doing now?
We're now everybody's doing level 2 and we're on book 2.
Okay, yeah, level 2 is a bit on the easy side for what you're describing, I would say. I mean, at our school, we've had some classes where students are just starting English and they're using level 2, and it's pretty challenging for them, but it does work.
Yeah.
So after 4 years of English, I'd probably be looking at level 3 or level 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I really love how there's the choose your adventure, the CLIL, the aspects of it that are really, really well thought out in the activities.
Thank you.
I haven't used it yet. I feel like this could be for high school. and I'm not sure why I'm like, I understand the basic sentences like let's or there are, that is the basic English. But I'm having trouble seeing how I'm only in my second year of teaching with these kids. So, and they're age grade 4 and grade 5. But I think I'm thinking about the fluency. I feel like it goes fast to really catch on to some fluency.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, I mean, watching the class that was in most of those videos there, would you say that they were higher than your students or about the same, or?
Probably about the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good level for it. I mean, the thing is also that it's very adjustable, and that's one of the good things about kind of anything that's more holistic, in that, for example, that Escape the Prison game, you guys all used some pretty complex language. You didn't kind of stick to the phrases that I had there. I think it might be a good idea to bring the rope or something like that, right? So I have played that game with returnees, lower level returnees, and they can come up with some pretty funny plans or ways to use the bomb or whatever. So, I mean, it can be quite extendable.
Yeah.
And then if you're worried about it being too high level, it's really a matter of kind of, again, scaffolding it. The scaffolding is typically, the expression is used to make something easier or more manageable, but I feel like it can almost be used the opposite way. You can feed in more complex language, like if we use ... then we can ... or something, and push them to use forms that are, more at their level.
Right. And Rebecca, you're saying that you think your grade 4s and 5s it's too easy for them.
Well, not everybody, but yeah, just a few. And because I think what he's saying is really interesting, because I have some returnees who just love it.
Right.
I mean, their English is pretty good, but they just love doing it.
Right.
And then, so I'm almost feeling like more than a language level, it almost seems I should be thinking about what development, what do we call it? Child development, what stage are they?
Yeah, sure.
Going into a more preteen might be more into the, the robots and the save the world kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that activity of the vegetable sorting, I mean, that's something that grade 1, 2 students are going to find a little bit challenging. Like, it won't totally blow their mind, but they're going to actually have to think. Whereas like a teenager wouldn't obviously, find any cognitive challenge in that. It would be just mechanical. It could be that, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about. I'm just not exactly sure how to level everybody.
What do those particular students, what do you find kind of wakes them up and gets them excited? Or is there not a whole lot of those things?
Well, they don't want to sing, and they don't really want to, they don't mind doing the guards, the whole, get out of here. And
right.
Everybody enjoyed that.
Okay.
Everybody loved that. But the vegetables thing, the vegetable game, that kind of stuff was not exciting for them. Yeah, I think role playing, actually, they kind of got into it a little bit.
That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe working in more of a role play kind of thing.
Yeah, actually using the language as a role.
I think, Dora, you mentioned also that you used role plays in your class when you were using AAS earlier, right?
Yes, I mainly tried that one because they are older. So we are talking about 14 and 15-year-olds. So, so we gave it a try. The language itself was very easy to pick up for them. So very easy to understand. And so we basically had to move quite fast with the books and the stories, because it was very, very easy for them, even though that they have a hard time to express themselves on their own, but still that was on the easier side. for them. But still, role play is still a challenge. So that was the only real challenge for them.
That's interesting. Yeah, obviously the optimal level of challenge is such a key thing in any kind of class. If it's too easy, that's going to be demotivating. And if it's far too difficult, that's obviously going to affect their motivation and confidence as well. So yeah, perhaps a bit easy for that class. Nice. Okay. Yeah, any other questions before we move on? Yeah, go ahead.
Again, back to fluency, and you said that as your kids leave the class, they're even still using this English, which is, that's the key I'm looking for. I want them to be able to understand the language so much that it's in them that they can speak it without having to think and use it in different situations, which is why I'm glad you have a couple of different activities using the same language. I think it's really important to try it in this scenario, in that situation.
That's exactly right.
Coming from here and there. So
yeah.
Do you find that your kids are able to grasp that language enough in the time that you cover it to use it in other scenarios?
The thing is that there's so much recycling in the course. It's really this tightly woven kind of puzzle in that the things that they learn in Unit 1 and the very first song are going to appear so many times throughout the course. Even in the final story, they're going to hear that language again. It might be picked up in other games. So it really is exactly as you say, it's not learning it in one situation, but forming lots of connections to lots of different things that makes it sort of retrievable language that they can actually produce. So not all of it, but definitely, I mean, I get those are my goosebumps moments when like a kid who's not like in a class says like, you have to do your homework right now, which is a song lyric, you know, a year or two after having done the course. I'm like, that's so cool. That's evidence that it's working. So that definitely does happen more than when I used other types of courses in the past, for sure.
Yeah. Sure. Sometimes I thought, why is this really fast right here? I thought at the beginning, and then later on, it just comes up so many different times. And then the kids are saying, "Oh, really fast," but they kind of remember it, which I was really surprised. Like, why is this here? You know, and then, but it just keeps coming up again and again.
Really fast is you mean the phrase really fast?
I think the phrase really fast. I'm sorry. Yes. I mean, the phrase that is written in the book, you know, it'll say the bats fly really fast.
Right.
And I think, he's written in here this for a reason, I assume, but I couldn't figure it out right at first. But now I'm in book 2 and I see them using it again in a different way, several times, I think. So that's been really interesting to see that you catch up on that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I definitely think the other kind of little goosebumpy thing that I get is when kids pick up language that isn't, you know, target language, right? They start like, I mean, some of it's really useless stuff. Like later on in the course, there's a lot of food words that come up. The kids all know ratatouille now and like a whole bunch of different food words and stuff, and they'll use them, like they'll just pull them out. And they never directly studied them. They just kind of were exposed to them in a bunch of situations. So yeah, you can't limit the learning to that, you know, vocabulary section. It goes beyond that, right?
Yes, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm really looking forward to level 1. So
yep, me too. It's almost printed, so we'll be sending that along to you as fast as we can.
Okay, wonderful.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, everyone, thanks for coming. And if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to message me anytime, and we'll, you know, give you a hand.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for your time. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.